So I'm maybe going to start down here with my last line. Where in the file should I put this? I mean, it can go here. Yeah, I'll put it along with my other URL mapping. It's a good suggestion, Carlin. So what's the URL? We'll fill in this first blank. What is that next URL we want to map? So in the instructions I said,
Loop.
There's the URL we want to map. So if we get a request at localhost 3000/loop. So now we've got a couple blanks here that need to match. Which line numbers do we have blanks where we need to have the same value? So when this URL is called, what should we do?
Your variable name. Yeah.
So my variable name here on line 54 should be equal to what other blank in the code?
In the app you use.
Right. So when we get a request in at localhost 3000/loop, we want to call our variable. So we can call this anything you want. Just give them Martin, what'd you have in your code there?
I just called it loop.
All right, that's fine. So we will call,
Bar loop.
yep. It doesn't matter what these names are. Notice they're highlighted here. It just has to be the same, because when this URL is called, we're looking for this variable that's populated from our anonymous function. So name them anything you like, just don't give them two different names on line 54 and line 69. It has to be the same. This is being called here. Okay? So on your quiz, well, let's just talk, what are these parameters here? We've got REQ, RES, and then a blank. What goes in the blank? And what the heck do these parameters mean? REQ is what? Request. So RES is the response. And then whatever happens next. Okay. So then we're going to use our response object. We're sending a header back to the browser. What HTTP status code do we want to send back here? Ori? Yeah, 200, which means what?
The standard HTTP.
Yeah, it means okay.
Yeah.
The request is okay. So what do we need here?
We can put the one out.
Yeah, it's a good idea. So we're declaring a variable. We're declaring it and using it at the same time. We don't have to have it.
That was the one that confused me. Okay.
So it's optional, but it's a good idea to indicate that I is a variable. So we're going to start at 1. What goes in here?
Less than or equal to.
Okay, Martin, can you explain why is it not just equal to 20? Why is it less than or equal to?
Because you still want it to run like 1 to 20, so you still want it to run when it's 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 20, and then you still want it to run when it's equal to 20 and then stop.
Right, so we want it to go up to and including 20. That was probably why you're getting 1 to 19, right? Did you have less than 20? You had less than. So we need less than or equal. Or else we could do less than 21. What does the I++ mean?
That's one.
Yeah, just add 1 every time we go around the loop. So 1 to 2.
2 to 3, 3 to 4.
Okay. What about on line 58 here? So we'll use our response and we'll call the write method. This will stream text to the browser. So equivalent to in PHP to using an echo command. Print to the browser. What is the /n doing? Yeah, putting in a line break. So we're going to print to the page. We're also going to log to the console. And lastly, which I forgot to do one time last week, and I wondered why my page never finished loading. If you don't call res.end, the response never finishes. The stream stays open and the page will never actually, in the browser, it never stops spinning. The response never terminates. So this should be everything we need.
Where's that end?
Now I have NodeMon running. So it crashed as I was completing the code, but now that it's complete, it says it's restarting. So now I should be able to go straight to my loop page. And there's our 1 to 20, and there's our 1 to 20 in the console.
Does it show in your browser console?
Good question. In Chrome,
So that's the same thing that Matt and I were.
okay. Well, not in this one, but it's showing here, which is fine. I think in Firefox it will show.
I tried it and it didn't.
It didn't?
Yeah, and I think you can right click and inspect element.
Okay, no, not here. Maybe in the developer console. Oops. Oh, it doesn't like the encoding. It's trying, but it doesn't like the encoding. Here. So there was our completed code. We're going to do one other thing with this. Michelle asked a really good question, which is, if we go here, so if we just load localhost 3000, I get this response. Why do I get this at localhost 3000? The server's running at localhost 3000. I can load /loop. Why am I getting this response? Kenzie?
You need an if.
Good guess. Nope. Kaylee?
Haven't defined that URL.
Right. Here are all of the URLs that we've mapped, right? We haven't told the server what to do if we get a request with no specific URL name, right? In effect, the root or the home page. We haven't told it what to do. So how could we fix this so that localhost 3000 will actually display something?
Mine's reading it.
We need to do a couple things. So what should we add on here so that we actually have some kind of home page to display? Right, it understands these 4 URLs, but it doesn't understand localhost 3000 without anything else. Vadim?
Just put a / and then to create, actually, we show you a name. So that would be the root directory?
Yep, that's right. That's the root folder. So, yeah, we have to create a variable and an anonymous function to run at that URL, just like we did with loop. So we'll map that URL to a new variable called default. We'll show this as the home page in effect. So I'll create a variable called default and a new anonymous function. You know what? Maybe I won't call it default. Node's not liking me using the word default because it's a keyword. So maybe I'll call it home instead. It'll like that better. So now let's just print out a simple message saying, you know, this is the home page. This is our lesson 4 home page. So we'll send a 200 header as we've been doing. which we'll send as plain text. We'll just print out a message so that we know that's considered the home page, and we'll end the response. So Vadim, you had it right. This should now run in the root. So if no page name or what looks like a page name or folder name is specified, we've now mapped a function that will run if our user goes to localhost 3000 or localhost 3000 with a slash, but nothing after the slash. So we'll see what NodeMon, no, NodeMon's restarted, which is good. And now our cannot get method goes away. So we, in effect, have created a home page. So that's what our application will do by default. So we're always going to want this. Right? We're always going to have to handle a mapping for the home page. So one of the other nice things is this also lets us basically auto-generate friendly URLs, because we have full control. The URLs that we're interpreting, they don't actually have to match specifically a file name in our application. So I just added line 77 and the function from 65 to 70. Almost done with this file, but not quite. There's one more thing we're going to do with it. We'll make a small change, a small improvement to our little tax calculator function. Our, what did we call it? We called the URL tax calculator. We called our function in camel case calculate tax. Just before I go on to that, any questions or issues with the home page? Our virtual home page? Or does it make sense what we've done?
Got everything now, but it's not.
So I'm going to give you one more task. So here was our calculate tax method from last week. We were passing in a subtotal parameter as part of our URL, and then we performed a little bit of math, just like you did in your lab, to calculate out the amount of tax and the total, and we printed those three values on the screen. So when we ran it, it looked something like this. If we go to tax-calculator subtotal equals, here's what we got, right? And we could put in any number. Doesn't look great here. This is probably not a very good tax value or total value. So I'm going to give you a small task to improve this. Okay? What I want you to do, there's a module that you can find on with NPM called accounting. So I want you to do two things. You need to do three things. Number one, you need to install the module into lesson 4. You don't have to install it globally. So you either, if your application is running, you'll either need to stop the application so you can install the module and then restart it, or you can leave this running and open another command prompt, go into lesson 4 and install that module from with NPM. That's number one. Number two, on our server.js file, you'll need to link into the module the same way we've linked in the connect and URL modules. Right? Installing it is one thing, but this file actually needs to directly link to it in order to use it. So that's the setup, is two parts. Download and install it, link it into your file. The third thing I want you to do is on these 3 lines, I want you to look at the instructions on the NPM website for how to format these values as currency. So rather than them displaying like this, they're going to have a dollar sign in front of them and only show to 2 decimal places. So there's a simple function inside that accounting module that will do it for you. Node doesn't have a built-in currency formatting function. We'll use the accounting package to do it for us. Okay. So take a few minutes. This shouldn't take you very long. You'll have to do the download, the install, the linking. You'll have to read over their document to find the name of the function and then try applying that function in here, in your code.
For the counting.
Kaylee?
My home function, it's not displaying anything.
Okay, I'll have a look. I will just let my video run. So there'll be a blank pause in the video. You can fast forward through because I have no way to pause it and resume it. You can't write the head twice. You can only call write head once.
My server keeps crashing.
Let's see your server.js. Did you? You're getting an error because you call your. This is looking for home, a variable called home, but yours is called default. Those always have to match, right? Because that's, here's the URL, now here's the variable we're looking for. And there is no variable called home. Yep. Hit Control C. And it will ask if you want to terminate, say yes. And then do npm start again. So if you, yeah. That's the purpose of NodeMon. If we start it from NodeMon, it will restart automatically. You don't have to stop it and restart it all the time. So if you hit Control C again in the terminal, go back to your command prompt, hit Control C, say yes to terminate. This time, instead of using npm start, type nodemon server.js. Okay, let's install nodemon. Type npm install nodemon. And then try nodemon server.js now. I know. Let's go here for a second. Go to your lesson 4 folder in Windows. Open up Node modules. Oh, NodeMon is there. I'll have to think about why it's not there. I'll look in a minute. Yep, Scott, question?
I just I fixed a change. Is this saying that it's running now? I'm not quite sure.
Well, your console will tell you if it's running.
It says connect app running at.
And is that the last thing? Is that the last line?
Yes.
Then it's running. Martin, you had a question?
I'm saying res dot right head is not a function.
Is it a capitalized right on the right head?
Yeah, it's,
head's capitalized.
Should be
yeah, it should be written, it should be in camel case.
Yeah. It is.
I had that issue.
And you have these as your 3 parameters?
Yeah. Oh wait. I had them in the wrong order.
Aha. Request first, then response.
Every time I try to connect my server, it keeps crashing. It says that app crashed waiting for the file changes before starting. And I keep trying to start it, like cancel it.
Okay, if it's app crash waiting for file change, there may be a syntax error in the file and it can't restart.
It actually tells you the.
Yeah.
If you leave a, if you have a so let's say I do this, right? My app is running with NodeMon right now. If I break it, like if I do this and save, it's going to restart.
Maybe.
It did restart. It didn't crash. Sorry, that's maybe not a good example. But it's possible with your syntax.
Take away the bracket beside next. That was the problem I had.
Yeah, it's possible that you could break the whole thing.
There you go.
Yeah, so now I'm getting unexpected.
It tells you where. the
So
problem
yeah, and
is.
it will usually tell you where.
And it points it out to you right there.
Yeah, right here on line 66, it shows you. So if it can't restart, you probably have a syntax error that Node can't recover from. So this is good. It's kind of like in Visual Studio when we're building ASP.NET applications. If there's syntax errors in our code, it won't compile and you can't run your app. Node is the same. It compiles the JavaScript. So if there's syntax errors, your app won't start. So now that I fixed it, it's restarting. Anybody gotten their calculator to work? Got concurrency working? You're still working on it? Okay. So where are you looking, Matt? Where should we look for the instructions? Where do you go to find the package?
npm.js.
Yep, so you go to npmjs.com.
Type in accounting and I'll find packages.
Yep.
And I'm there.
Okay.
Just have to change the log.
Yeah.
You go to the GitHub one. It has a little bit of.
Yep, or you can go to GitHub, although it's showing, the function you need is showing on the screen. It should be pretty apparent by the name of the function.
Probably the accounting variable.
Yes, it can be all you have to do.
They don't make it kind of easy to find it though. The change log, really? Not open extensions.
The name of the function you need should be fairly apparent.